If you're on Social Security and hearing talk about a Treasury-approved $2,000 refund, this is something you need to understand clearly. What's real, who it applies to, and why seniors are being prioritized right now? Let's break it down. Tap like so more retirees see this. When headlines mention a Treasury-approved $2,000 refund tied to Social Security, it naturally grabs attention, especially for retirees who depend on every dollar coming in. This topic matters because many seniors receive payments from multiple federal systems, including Social Security and the U.S. Treasury, and it's easy for confusion to arise about what is new, what is routine, and what requires action. Understanding the difference can protect you from unnecessary stress, misinformation, or even scams. To be clear from the start, the U.S. Treasury regularly issues refunds and payments for many legitimate reasons, including tax overpayments, credits, and corrections processed by the IRS. Some seniors who receive Social Security may be prioritized in certain refund processing situations, particularly when refunds are tied to tax filings, credits, or adjustments that affect older adults and people on fixed incomes. That does not mean Social Security benefits themselves are being replaced, increased, or automatically supplemented by a new program. It means refunds, when approved, follow established federal procedures. This is why accuracy matters. Many retirees hear the word refund and wonder if they're missing out on money or need to act quickly. In reality, any legitimate refund issued by the Treasury is based on existing records, filings, or corrections, not surprise payouts or automatic bonuses. Knowing how these processes work helps you understand whether something applies to you personally or not. In this video, we'll calmly walk through what a Treasury refund really is, how Social Security seniors may be affected, and how to verify information using official sources. Stay with us, because clarity, not confusion, is what protects your benefits and your peace of mind. Let's take a calm, clear look at what this topic really means and why it matters, especially if you're a retiree or someone receiving Social Security, SSI, or SSDI. When people hear the phrase Treasury approves a $2,000 refund, it's easy to assume this is a brand new payment or a special bonus tied directly to Social Security. But the reality, according to how federal systems actually work, is more grounded, and understanding that reality is what helps you avoid confusion, disappointment, or misinformation. The U.S. Treasury and the Social Security Administration are closely connected, but they serve different roles. Social Security benefits are administered by the SSA, while refunds are issued by the Treasury, most often through the IRS, based on tax filings, credits, or corrections that already exist in law. For many seniors, refunds in the range of up to $2,000 usually relate to tax overpayments, refundable tax credits, or corrections to previously filed returns. This can include situations where too much tax was withheld from Social Security benefits, where a senior qualifies for certain credits, or where an error was corrected after a return was processed. None of this happens automatically or randomly. Every refund approved by the Treasury is tied to a specific record, filing, or adjustment already on file. Now, where Social Security seniors come into this picture is priority processing. Federal agencies, including the Treasury and IRS, have long-standing procedures that prioritize refunds for older adults, people with disabilities, and those on fixed incomes in certain situations. This doesn't mean seniors are guaranteed a refund. It means that when a legitimate refund is approved, it may be processed faster or flagged for timely delivery because of financial vulnerability. That distinction is important, and it's one of the most misunderstood parts of these headlines. Let's walk through a realistic example. Imagine a retiree who receives Social Security and also files a simple federal tax return because part of their benefits are taxable or because they have a small pension. If too much tax was withheld during the year, the IRS processes the return and determines that a refund is owed. That refund is approved by the Treasury and sent out. In some cases, especially for seniors, that refund can be processed with priority to ensure it's not delayed unnecessarily. The key point is that this refund comes from overpaid taxes or credits, not from Social Security benefits themselves. Another scenario involves refundable tax credits that some seniors qualify for. Credits like the credit for the elderly or the disabled or other income-based credits can reduce tax liability or result in a refund if eligibility requirements are met. Again, these are not new programs. They are part of existing tax law, and the Treasury issues refunds only after eligibility is confirmed through a filed return. Social Security recipients may qualify, but only if their individual situation meets the criteria. This is why it's so important to separate facts from assumptions. The Social Security Administration has not announced a new $2,000 payment, bonus, or refund program for seniors. The Treasury does not issue refunds without a legal basis. Any refund amount, whether it's $200, $2,000, or more, comes from documented overpayments or credits. Understanding that protects you from misleading claims and helps you focus on what actually applies to you. One of the most practical steps you can take as a senior is making sure your tax filings are accurate and up to date. Even if you don't normally owe taxes, filing a return when required, or when you might be eligible for a refund, ensures the Treasury has the information it needs. Many seniors miss refunds simply because they assume they don't need to file. In reality, filing can be the only way to trigger a legitimate refund. If this explanation is already helping clear things up, take a moment to like the video. That small action helps more retirees find accurate, calm information instead of alarming headlines. Another important point to understand is timing. Treasury-approved refunds don't follow Social Security's monthly payment schedule. They're issued based on when a return is processed, corrected, or adjusted. That means refunds don't arrive on predictable dates like Social Security benefits do. Checking the status through official IRS tools is the only reliable way to track a refund. Social Security offices do not handle refund questions, which is another common source of confusion. Security also matters here. Whenever refunds and seniors are mentioned together, scammers pay attention. Fraudsters often use language like approved refund or priority payment to create urgency. The Treasury and SSA do not call, text, or email demanding action to release a refund. If a refund is approved, it's issued automatically through direct deposit or mail based on the information already on file. No fees, no threats, no deadlines imposed through unsolicited contact. Let's talk briefly about how Social Security benefits themselves fit into the tax picture. Depending on your total income, a portion of your Social Security benefits may be taxable. This is not new, and it's based on income thresholds set by law. Some seniors have taxes withheld from their benefits voluntarily to avoid owing at tax time. In some cases, too much is withheld, which can result in a refund. That refund, once approved, comes from the Treasury, not the SSA, and follows standard refund procedures. This is why you may see language about Treasury-approved refunds while still receiving your regular Social Security payments as usual. The two systems interact, but they are not the same. Your monthly benefit continues unchanged unless the SSA notifies you directly of a benefit-related adjustment. If you've ever received a refund and wondered where it came from, this is often the explanation. It's not a bonus. It's your money being returned because of how taxes or credits applied to your situation. That's also why amounts vary so widely from person to person. No two situations are exactly alike. At this point, some viewers ask, do I need to apply for this? The answer is simple and reassuring. There is no separate application for a Treasury refund beyond filing an accurate tax return when required. If you're eligible, the system processes it. If you're not, nothing changes. There is no list to sign up for, no phone number to call to claim it, and no form tied directly to Social Security benefits. If you find this kind of clear explanation helpful, subscribing to the channel is a great way to stay informed. We focus on facts, not fear, and that matters when you're relying on fixed income. Another practical step for seniors is keeping records organized. Retaining tax documents, SSA benefit statements, and bank information helps ensure everything lines up correctly. Errors are often resolved faster when information is consistent and accessible. If you work with a tax preparer, make sure they understand your Social Security income and withholding choices. It's also worth noting that refunds can be offset in certain situations, such as unpaid federal debts. This applies to all taxpayers, not just seniors. If an offset occurs, the Treasury sends a notice explaining why. This is another reason to rely on official letters rather than online rumors. As we move toward the bigger picture, here's what really matters. The phrase, "Treasury approves $2,000 refund" sounds dramatic, but the underlying process is routine, lawful, and documented. Seniors are not being singled out for surprise payments, and Social Security benefits are not being reclassified or replaced. Priority simply means timely handling when a refund is legitimately owed. If you're still watching, it means you care about staying informed, and that's one of the best protections you have. Feel free to comment if you've ever received a refund you didn't expect at first. Your experience could help someone else understand how this works. The most important takeaway is peace of mind. Nothing about this topic suggests instability in Social Security or sudden changes to benefits. It highlights how multiple federal systems interact and how seniors can sometimes benefit from accurate filings and priority processing. Picking up right where we left off, it's worth slowing down for a moment and reinforcing why clarity around Treasury refunds and Social Security matters so much right now. For retirees and seniors, income stability is not just a financial concern, it's peace of mind. When headlines or social media posts suggest large sums of money are suddenly being approved, it can create unnecessary stress, false hope, or even fear of missing out. That's why understanding how these systems truly operate is far more valuable than reacting to any single claim. One thing many people don't realize is that the Treasury approves refunds every single day. This happens quietly, routinely, and without announcements. Refunds are approved when the IRS finishes reviewing a return or adjustment and confirms that money is owed back to the taxpayer. For seniors, this process may feel unfamiliar if they've gone years without filing or without receiving refunds. So when a refund does arrive, especially a larger one, it can feel unexpected even though it's fully legitimate. Another important detail involves amended returns. Seniors sometimes discover years later that they were eligible for a deduction, credit, or correction they didn't originally claim. When an amended return is filed and approved, the Treasury can issue a refund that reflects those past adjustments. Depending on the situation, that amount can add up. Again, this is not a new benefit or special payment, it's a correction of previous filings. But for someone on a fixed income, it can feel significant. Let's also talk about direct deposit versus paper checks, because this plays into the idea of priority. Seniors who have direct deposit set up often receive approved refunds faster simply because there's no mailing delay. This can sometimes be interpreted as preferential treatment when, in reality, it's just the most efficient method. Making sure your banking information is current with the IRS can prevent delays and confusion. At the same time, it's critical to understand what does not qualify as a Treasury refund. Monthly Social Security benefits are not refunds. Cost of living adjustments are not refunds. Medicare premium changes are not refunds. These are all administered through different processes. When refunds are discussed, they are always tied to tax-related matters, even if Social Security income is part of the equation. This distinction becomes especially important during tax season or early in the year, when many refunds are processed. Seniors often see neighbors, friends, or family members talking about receiving money and assume it's something new or special. In reality, each person's situation is unique, based on their income, withholding, credits, and filings. If you're still following along, this is a good moment to pause and reflect on your own situation. Do you normally file a tax return? Do you have taxes withheld from your Social Security benefits? Have you ever reviewed whether you qualify for senior-related tax credits? These questions don't mean you're owed money, but they can help you determine whether you're leaving anything unclaimed. One of the most overlooked issues among retirees is the assumption that filing is unnecessary. While many seniors are not required to file, some still benefit from doing so. Refundable credits, overwithholding, and corrections only come into play if a return is filed. The Treasury cannot issue a refund without that information. This is not a push to file unnecessarily, but a reminder that awareness matters. Let's also address how official communication works. When the Treasury approves a refund, it does not issue press releases naming groups of people. Instead, it sends direct notices or deposits funds based on existing records. If you ever receive a message claiming you must act immediately to receive a refund, that is a red flag. Official agencies do not operate that way. This is where trust becomes crucial. Seniors are often targeted by misinformation because they are perceived as less familiar with digital systems, but knowledge is protection. Understanding that refunds are mechanical, not promotional, removes much of the fear and confusion surrounding these claims. Another point worth explaining is how Social Security income interacts with other income sources. Some retirees take part-time work, withdraw from retirement accounts, or receive pensions. These additional income sources can change tax liability from year to year. In one year, you might owe nothing. In another, you might overpay and receive a refund. That variability is normal, even if it feels unpredictable. This is also why refund amounts can appear oddly specific, like 1,842 or 2,013 lien. They're calculated, not rounded or standardized. When people see a headline saying $2,000 refund, it's often an approximation meant to catch attention, not an exact or guaranteed amount. If you appreciate this kind of clear, no-pressure explanation, tapping the like button really does help the channel reach more people who need straightforward information. It also tells the algorithm that calm, factual content deserves visibility. Now let's briefly touch on the role of professional help. Some seniors choose to work with tax preparers or advisors, while others file independently. Either approach is fine, as long as the information is accurate. The key is making informed decisions, not reacting to rumors or social media claims. For those who prefer to manage things themselves, official IRS and SSA resources are the safest places to verify information. While the Treasury handles refunds, it relies on data submitted through official channels. Checking refund status through authorized tools is always better than guessing or relying on third-party claims. It's also helpful to understand that refunds can sometimes be delayed for reasons unrelated to age or income. Identity verification, processing backlogs, or incomplete information can slow things down. These delays are frustrating, but they don't mean something is wrong. Patience and official updates are the only reliable indicators. As we move deeper into this discussion, let's address why seniors are often described as a priority group. This doesn't mean special privileges or extra payments. It reflects a recognition that delays can have greater consequences for people on fixed incomes. Prioritization is about timing, not amounts. That nuance is often lost in headlines but matters a great deal. Another area of confusion involves state versus federal refunds. Some seniors receive refunds from state tax agencies, which are completely separate from Treasury-issued federal refunds. These can arrive at different times and for different reasons. Mixing the two can add to the confusion, especially when amounts are similar. It's also important to remember that refunds are not guaranteed every year. Receiving one once does not mean you'll receive one again. Each year stands on its own, based on that year's income and filings. Expecting recurring refunds can lead to disappointment if circumstances change. If you've made it this far, you're doing exactly what informed retirees do, seeking understanding instead of reacting emotionally. That mindset is invaluable when navigating anything related to finances or government benefits. Let's talk briefly about what to do if you believe you're owed a refund but haven't received it. The first step is always to check official status tools. The second is to review your filings for accuracy. The third, if needed, is to seek assistance through official channels. Social Security offices cannot resolve tax refund issues, and calling them for this purpose often leads to frustration. Understanding who handles what saves time and stress. SSA handles benefits. The IRS processes returns. The Treasury issues refunds. Each has a defined role, and knowing that division empowers you. One subtle but important point is that receiving a refund does not affect your Social Security benefit amount. Refunds are not income for benefit calculation purposes in most cases, especially when they represent a return of overpaid taxes. This is another common fear that can be put to rest. As we approach the final stretch of this discussion, the central message becomes clear. There is no hidden program, no surprise payment rollout, and no sudden policy shift implied by Treasury-approved refunds. What exists is a structured, rule-based system that occasionally returns money to taxpayers, including seniors, when appropriate. Staying calm, informed, and skeptical of exaggerated claims is the best approach. You don't need to chase every headline to protect your financial well-being. Reliable information does that job far better. If you find value in content that explains these topics without panic or hype, subscribing ensures you won't miss future updates. This channel is designed to support seniors with clarity, not confusion. Before we conclude, let's reinforce one final reassurance. Social Security as a program is not being replaced, renamed, or quietly altered through refunds. Benefits continue under the same laws and schedules unless the SSA announces changes directly. Treasury refunds operate alongside that system, not within it. So the next time you see a claim about a large refund or priority payment, you'll know exactly how to evaluate it. Ask what process it comes from, what law supports it, and whether it requires action. Most of the time, the answer will be simpler than it sounds. Thank you for spending this time learning and staying informed. If this video helped you feel more confident about what's really happening, take a moment to like it and share it with someone who might be confused by similar claims. And if you want ongoing, trustworthy explanations about Social Security, SSI, SSDI, and related topics, subscribing keeps you connected to information that puts facts first. Your financial stability matters, your peace of mind matters, and staying informed, calmly and clearly is one of the strongest tools you have.